Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Eugene Tsyrklevich, and I'm the CEO of Parkopedia. And it's interesting the topic of open data actually came up because we do use open data, and we use other types of data that John from Cisco alluded to as well. So to start with, I'll tell you what Parkopedia is, and Parkopedia solves a very simple problem. Yet it is a problem that affects millions of drivers on an everyday basis. It's a problem that's been alluded to in this forum already, and that is a problem finding parking. So I will take you through kind of how we used to find parking in the past, how we're looking for parking today, and how we're likely to look for parking in the future. So I'll start with the concept of a connected car. So we've already seen the connectivity is becoming ubiquitous, including the vehicles, and that is enabling a number of services, of course, in the car that's driving this. And these services range from everything from traffic to real-time parking to music and so on. So the concept of connected car is changing everything, including parking. So let me start then by talking about how we used to look for parking in not so distant future, and what I call essentially phase zero, right? This is, and I think John already mentioned that, you know, up to 30% of certain inner city traffic can be caused by people looking for parking, and that is certainly true, let's say, in Manhattan, maybe not necessarily in every city, but in Manhattan, in the peak hours, the people have done surveys where 30% of people are looking for parking. Why is that? And the reason for that is A, lack of information, B, bad economics. If you've ever been to New York City, if you haven't, you should go. You can expect to find $3, you can expect to pay $3.50 to park on the street in central Manhattan. $3.50 is not too bad, especially considering that if you to park in any garage whatsoever in Manhattan, you would pay $24 to $30 in the first hour. So the question of economics comes up: do you drive around for 20 minutes looking for a space where you pay $3.50 for an hour, or do you pop into the first garage, which are plenty of in New York, but pay $30? So take your pick. If you're expensing parking, you pop into the garage. If not, you drive around for 20 minutes. So that is a fundamental problem. This is how we used to find parking right in pre-2010. What you see here is a map with a lot of P icons on it. The P icons tell you nothing. Right? You have no idea if it's even a public garage. You don't know when it's open. You don't know how much it costs. All you know, there's parking there. That's not very useful, and that is a fundamental problem of why people drive around for 30 minutes. They don't have the information which they need to make intelligent decisions. That's what it comes down to, and that's what we're changing. That's what the connectivity is changing in the car. Here you see a connected car BMW parking service, which we power, which allows you, that solves that problem. It tells you where you can park. It tells you how much it costs. It tells you if there's a space available right now. Where does the data come from? Well, you heard open data. So you've seen dublinked.ie. So we've been receiving data, let's say, from Dublin for the last few years. So if you were to search, if you use your BMW car in Dublin, you will find out a number of spaces that are available. That information comes from open data from Dublin that flows via us and into BMW. You've heard John from Cisco talk about connectivity with sensors and so on. That's another data source. It's not necessarily open data, but it's still another data source, and we have thousands of those around the world. Parkopedia today is live in 6,000 cities and 50 cities, and there are thousands of sources that range from open data all the way to completely private that come into us and then get distributed to our clients. So this has been happening for the last few years. BMW service has been live for a few years, and there are many, many more coming. We are working today with about a dozen car manufacturers globally, and a few ones that we are not working with, we're at least speaking to about providing these services. So this has been happening for the last few years, and this will carry on into the next few years. But this is where we are today, and certainly this is not linked to just cars. You know, there are other services, be it online, be it mobile. Parkopedia's website today is the largest dedicated parking website in the world, with millions of drivers using it on a monthly basis. And there are other organizations that we work with. For example, AA, which is a British automotive club, have been using us for the last 3 or 4 years to power all of their parking services, meaning that if you're in Britain or in Ireland and use AA parking branded service, you're actually using Parkopedia's data and technology underneath it. So let's talk about where we're going where we are today and moving into the future. So this is kind of what we call essentially phase 2. This is starting from this year and moving onwards. So here you see a screenshot of a Volvo vehicle. And the interesting thing about the Volvo vehicles is the Volvo was the world's first car manufacturer today that has launched a service which allows you not only to find but also pay for your parking directly from a car. So this is already live on the road today, meaning that you can use your car today, a Volvo vehicle today, to find and pay for parking straight from the car. Now, this still requires the driver to touch a button to pay for the parking, but you can imagine that the manual action of pressing a button will, of course, will go away, and this will be entirely automated. So this is happening now, and essentially what you see is for the digitalization of parking, where the process, the hassle of finding a space and paying for it, we want to take the hassle away, and in fact, it's going to go away entirely, and that you'll just get a bill at the end of the month, and you don't need to know too much about kind of how it happened and so on. So this is happening right now. What I want to talk about in terms of the last phase, phase 2, is the autonomous cars. So we've seen demos from Volvo earlier today about the cars that are driving themselves. What I would like to share with you today is a demo of an Audi vehicle that is actually parking itself. So let me kick off with that. If you could please start a video. Is there a video? There we go. So again, this is a live demo, right? This is not a Photoshop. This is a real thing. And this was demonstrated at CES last year in Las Vegas. Now, the lady comes out of the meeting, she uses her phone to call the car back. Now, the premise of this, of course, is God forbid you run out of battery in your phone, you have no idea where your car is. So if you thought charging the car was important, boy, does this become important in terms of charging your phone when you have no idea where your car is. But, and so the car comes back out. So this is quite amazing, right? This is quite amazing. This is like looking at the future, except we are in the future today. And people might say, this is wonderful. This means that my car doesn't get scratched, right? I don't need to give keys to my $100,000 Audi to a random guy. So all of this is good. However, there are probably actually far deeper consequences of this, and I think Volvo speaker actually alluded to this. He didn't talk too much about it, but we assume today that this is what we'll just do, that instead of parking the car itself, the car will, tomorrow, will go and park in the same parking lot on its own. The reality is that we no longer probably need that parking lot at all. As in, why do I need to drive to, or why does a car need to drive you to the train station for you to take a train home, or rather the train to work and then park itself, when the car can just drive itself back home? Or, as an example here, the lady goes to a meeting or shopping and she drops the car off. The car doesn't need to park in the closest parking lot. the car can take a 10-minute detour to the suburbs and park itself, and therefore all of these real estate assets that are sitting today in prime city centers are no longer necessary. So the parking is probably going to be entirely reshaped and might disappear in the form that we know today altogether. So with that, I thank you for your time.